Yesterday evening, a good friend of mine was writing on Messenger. He was basically writing, what the are you actually doing on your YouTube channel? And I was guessing that it was something to do with the language. And I was asking him, what did you experience? And he's saying, well, I'm watching you, and I've been watching you for many years now. But suddenly you're speaking English, and not in a very good way. So what he experienced was getting an English dub of my video, even though he's Danish, and he's not aware that he very simply can change the language of the subtitles or the audio by going into the tools and finding audio or subtitles and just change it in there. What I did was I took the opportunity to question him a bit, because I know this happens, and I know it happens more than I really get to know, because most people are just having a bad experience and are leaving again in a short while. They're not actually relaying the information to me because maybe we don't know each other, or maybe this is their first visit to the channel. And what he said was, this is bad. This was such a horrific experience. If I experienced this for the first time with your channel, or maybe even the 10th, I would never visit your channel again. And I don't get, why are you speaking English? And then patiently I just took the time to tell him how to change the sound in the audio section and the subtitle section. But the thing is, for most people, there are no one to patiently tell them this. It left me with a burning question, which is, are YouTube really ready for multi-language audio? As in many things in this world and this life, the answer is complicated. Because in some senses, yes, YouTube are definitely ready for MLA. But in other senses, it's not. And it is going to take a bit of a beating for some of the early adopters like you and me, because it is not always going to look nice and sound nice. The guy that wrote me yesterday, he was clearly feeling let down. Very let down by this experience. That is partly true, I have to admit that, because it is something that I know can happen, that you're being exposed to the wrong audio. But then again, it shouldn't happen. And even though I'm sure that YouTube are doing their very best to avoid this, I'm also not sure that they can actually do more. For example, I'm always counted as coming from Copenhagen when I'm operating on the internet, and that's because I'm using a 5G internet connection, which basically ends and terminates in Copenhagen. And that's why it seems I'm sitting in Copenhagen and doing whatever I'm doing from Copenhagen, which is not true. I'm almost 180 kilometers away from Copenhagen, in a very different city and in a very different part of the country. So it's wrong that I'm counting as coming from Copenhagen. Not even 15 kilometers from Copenhagen, you have Sweden. So how do you know if you're watching a video from a Swedish cell tower or a Danish cell tower? You have the same problems in Sønderjylland, which is where we have the border with Germany. If YouTube is using this information to determine what language to serve to people, it will get muddy, at least in the border regions of the countries. But I'm not sure that's the way that they're actually detecting this. I think it's more something to do with what your own settings are. Because YouTube clearly knows what you're watching, and it kind of knows how you're acting, and it knows what ads to serve you. On very rare occasions I get the odd Swedish ad or the odd Norwegian ad, but it's so rare. So if you can give that kind of stability in serving the right ads to the right people, clearly YouTube have some idea of where you're from, because they are devaluating the value of the ads if they are serving them wrong, so they must have a big interest in not doing that. Of course, it's not sure that they're using the same technology, the same method for ad detection as they are using for audio detection, language detection, but I would guess that it's something near that. Instead of me guessing what technology YouTube uses and what method YouTube uses to detect which language to serve you, I can just see with my own eyes that it is a problem. When I upload a video with MLA, multi-language audio, I know a certain portion of the viewers of that video will get the wrong language in relation to what they actually should have been served. So is that reason enough to stop working with multi-language audio? I don't think so. It of course depends how you want to treat your audience, because certainly we all want to treat them in a decent way. But if you can accept a little bit of slack on this perimeter, it is probably going to be fixed by YouTube within a short while. because this is really a problem that is kind of reducing retention very fast. And in that sense, it's not good for YouTube either. And that should be their enticement to fix it quickly. But the problem is how many people we are going to piss off before this is fixed. I have a problem with that because I really do not want to offend people. If people are looking at my videos and joining my channel and maybe even writing comments, I want them to have a good experience. I don't want them to feel betrayed. And there is some sense of betrayal in this. When you're thinking that now you're going to see someone who is speaking Danish, for example, and that's how I know this guy, and this is how I have related to him, and this is what our complete relation is built upon. And then suddenly he doesn't speak Danish, but he speaks German or Finnish or some other language, or maybe even a language I don't understand. That relation is kind of suffering a bit. And I think that's very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous, especially in this business, in this line of business where relation is everything. If people can't relate to you, they are not going to watch your videos. They're not going to subscribe. They're not going to be members of your channel. They are not going to leave comments or thumbs up. So in a sense, I think this is a bigger problem than it first appears, because of course you can say, hey, you just got to learn to use the tool that you're using for watching videos. You go to the toolbox, you do so, and then you have the right language. It happens. But if you don't know this, it is a betrayal. It is, in some sense, a betrayal of the friendship or the trust that you share between a channel and a viewer. So instead of asking, is YouTube ready for multi-language audio? I think the right question to ask is, are we ready for MLA? Because YouTube will just go ahead and it will be a better experience. They are going to fix things. They're going to work on this. And clearly, the people who are taking the risk with YouTube in the beginning, well, they are going to have a better place in all this. So if you want to do something with MLA, well, learn about it, use it, try it, test it, and sometimes that also means failing at it. There is a lot of technologies coming up, and it's rarely the early adopters who get the biggest slice of that pie. You are not going to miss out on something by not adopting MLA. For me, it's a shortcut to getting to where I wish I had been many years ago. But every shortcut has a cost. And the cost at this point is that I am pissing off some people, some of my viewers, and especially the nearest to me. So I have decided to work against this by, from now on, I'm going to launch the videos on my Danish channel in only Danish first. And then I'm going to leave it for 2 or 3 days so my Danish viewers, my Danish subscribers can see the videos in Danish without any chance of them being shown the wrong subtitles or getting a wrong audio experience. The good thing here is that YouTube is treating every time you add a new language later as a new publish. So it's basically the video being published for the first time on that part of YouTube, the English speaking part or the Spanish speaking part. And that gives you the opportunity to actually hold your horses. So this is kind of my quick fix. And then I'm hoping that within 2 or 3 days, my Danish subscribers, or most of them, has seen my video. And then I can expand into multi-language audio. I'm really happy that you are here. And I'm hoping that you will give this video a like. If you're not subscribed at this point, please do, because I would like to see you in the next video.